Everyone makes mistakes, but they usually don't cost you millions of dollars. When it comes to construction, even the slightest of errors can be disastrous. From the demolition of 15 skyscrapers that were never used to a building that literally burns people. Here are 10 of the most expensive construction mistakes from all around the world. Number 10. The Citigroup Center. The Leaning Tower of Pisa might be one of the 7 wonders of the world, but that doesn't mean every leaning building is one too. The Citigroup Center skyscraper in New York City was built way back in 1977. The skyscraper was 918 feet and was supported by 4 pillars that were 111 feet in length. Many people questioned the safety of the unusual design, but the engineers insisted that the building was completely safe. That was until they realized they had miscalculated. They were corrected by an undergraduate, Diane Hartley, a student from Princeton University who was doing a thesis on the building. She realized the whole building could topple over by 70-mile-per-hour winds as she was writing it out. Even though all the engineers, including New York City's mayor, knew about the error, no one really did anything until Hurricane Ella hit. That's when they quickly started working on fixing the building and used 2-inch steel plates held in place by bolted joints. The repair cost millions of dollars and was completed 3 months after. Number 9. The Jeddah Tower. Imagine being such a big disaster that you caused expensive damage without even existing. The Jeddah Tower was supposed to become the world's tallest tower and take the Burj Khalifa's crown. The construction of the skyscraper started in 2013 and was supposed to finish by 2018. But because of the Saudi Arabian purge, major construction problems were caused that completely halted the construction with just a third of the tower built. Most of the investors of the building were arrested by the government. Even after they were released, the building was still on hold and there wasn't an official date for its completion either. The pandemic only made things even worse for the tower since the construction was planned to restart in 2020. If the construction does get abandoned now, it would mean a loss of at least $1 billion for the people involved. Number 8. The Oroville Dam. The Oroville Dam was the biggest dam in America, located in Northern California. This dam was supposed to provide us with a fresh water supply, flood control, as well as power generation. But this 50-year-old dam was not well maintained at all, which really ended up becoming a problem when heavy rain started overfilling it. The water level just kept increasing more and more, and the workers had to use the main spillway to get rid of some of the water. But when they went to the dam for inspection, they realized that a huge chunk of concrete had eroded away. Because of this, workers were forced to use the emergency spillway for the first time in its history. Since so much water was rushing downwards, they had to evacuate more than 188,000 people from the area. Once the water level was back to normal, more than $875 million was spent on repairing the dam, and it took over a year to fully complete. Number 7. 20 Fenchurch Street. The 20 Fenchurch Street was sold to a manufacturing company from Hong Kong for over $1.8 billion, which ended up becoming a record price for a building in the United Kingdom. But after it was done being built, it was considered the ugliest skyscraper in all of Great Britain and almost looked like a walkie-talkie. But that wasn't the main problem with this tower. Because of its unusual curvatures at the top, the sun reflected from the glass directly hit the sidewalks. So, during the day, the sidewalks near the building would be so hot that they would literally crack and cars near the area would start melting. Some guy even fried up an egg and ate it afterward. Number 6. Hallandsås Railway. Problems with Sweden's rail infrastructure started in 1975 when some portions of the West Coast line couldn't manage the increased train traffic. To solve the problem, a project to completely rebuild the entire line to double track was announced. The construction of the Hallandsås Railway began in 1992 with an expected completion date of 1995. However, huge issues started almost right away. As soon as the building's construction started, groundwater began leaking through the rock in far bigger amounts than predicted. The rock was extremely soft for any kind of drilling procedure and even ended up breaking the first drill they used on it. On the other hand, regular drilling just caused even more water leaks. Because of this, the original contractor went bankrupt and handed the project off to another company. The new company did even worse and used a poisonous ceiling compound that started killing the fish all around and made the workers sick. The company was charged and the construction was halted completely. After years, the project picked up again and was finally completed in 2015. More than 23 years after it started, the project was supposed to cost 1 billion Swedish kroner, but it actually cost 10.5 billion Swedish kroner. Number 5. The Harmon Hotel. The Harmon Hotel was supposed to become a high-end living experience with a residential area, a mall, and even a pool on the roof. The construction of the hotel began in 2007 and was to cost around $275 million. However, in 2008, when the building was only half finished, it was halted completely because of some structural defects. The steel reinforcements that were supposed to stabilize the building weren't installed properly. Because of this, they had to refund everyone that made a purchase, and the owners of the building sold it as advertisement space. When it was later reported that the Harmon Hotel wouldn't be able to survive an earthquake, the owners had to demolish the hotel. But since there were too many buildings all around, they had to dismantle the tower floor by floor. It cost them $170 million just to dismantle it. Overall, the hotel cost the owners over $450 million, even though it was never opened or used by the public. Number 4. The Berlin-Brandenburg Airport. When the construction of the Berlin-Brandenburg Airport started in 2006, the project was supposed to cost around $2.4 billion. The airport was estimated to be done by 2011. But because of failures and corruption, there were a bunch of delays. The first problem they got into was because of non-compliant fire protection requirements. But that's not all. They also couldn't pass the acceptance tests you need to operate as an actual airport. On top of all this, they installed 37 miles of cooling pipes without thermal insulation. So they had to tear down all the walls and replace the pipes. In the end, the cost for the airport went up to $8.3 million, which was triple what it should have been. The airport finally went into operation at the very start of 2020, but new problems started coming in as the pandemic began, and it wasn't even able to operate as the whole world went into lockdown. Many think the airport won't be able to finance itself and will go bankrupt in the later years. Number 3. The Tacoma Narrow. The construction of the Tacoma Narrow Bridge began way back in the early 1940s. The problem started during the construction when the weather started getting very windy. The deck of the bridge literally began swaying around. They took some measures to stop the swaying and opened the bridge once it was finally done being built. But the measures didn't actually help at all, and the bridge continued swaying. Most people avoided the bridge altogether and used a longer route instead. Just 4 months later, strong winds came and the bridge started swaying much more than ever before. It got so bad that the bridge actually completely collapsed into the water below. Fortunately, since basically everyone knew about the problems of the bridge, no one was injured when it collapsed. 10 years later, Washington opened a completely updated version of the Tacoma Bridge that's still standing today. Number 2. The Liang Star City. Back in 2011, construction for the second phase of the Liang Star City in Kunming, China began. They decided to build 19 skyscrapers for more housing and workspace. The problem started when a new company took over the project just a year into its construction. The new company actually managed to fully complete the first 4 skyscrapers, but they couldn't complete the other 15 because of financial issues. The incomplete buildings were actually nearly complete, but weren't topped out. Over the years, rain and floods completely destroyed the foundation of the building to the point of no return. By 2020, another company bought the project for $150 million, but realized the buildings won't be able to compete anymore and decided to demolish them instead. So in August of 2021, all of the incomplete buildings came crashing down in just 45 seconds. Number 1. The Millennium Tower. The Millennium Tower is the 6th largest building in San Francisco, standing at 651 feet. It cost around $350 million to make, and the construction went pretty smoothly. There wasn't really anything wrong with the building at first, and it was slowly getting filled with residents as time went by. What the residents didn't know was that the building was slowly but surely sinking and tilting. For some reason, the foundation of the building was made out of sand instead of the usual bedrock, and it wasn't able to support the heavy tower. The building had sunk 15 inches and tilted 6 inches near the top. After a bunch of lawsuits, they finally came up with a solution for the building. The engineers would have to install 50 new piles around 70 meters each that would go all the way down to the bedrock. This plan cost around $100 million and was supposed to brace the tower and reduce the tilt over the next few years. The construction for this started in 2020 but had to be stopped in August of 2021 because the tower just kept sinking and tilting even more. The building is still under investigation right now to find a better solution. Alright, which one of these expensive construction mistakes did you find the craziest? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Trend Joint, and we'll see you in the next one.